to Meet Me in the Penthouse. I am Amy, along here with my sister Molly. We help high-achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. We are neighbors, sisters, and business partners. We have built 8-figure businesses together, traveled the world together, raised our children together, mentored thousands of men and women together, and it's all because we have a penthouse mindset. We aim for the top, and we show others how to empower themselves to peel back the layers and truly step into their greatness and calling. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. My name is Amy Mosser, along with my sister Molly Kroeker. We love what we do. We help and coach women to not only increase their income, but more importantly, their impact.
So today we're going to dive into a question we've all asked ourselves at some point, and notice it's me doing the intro, Molly, is, am I too much? Am I too loud? Am I too ambitious? Too confident? Has anyone ever told you that you're too confident? I know I have been told that. Too passionate. Somewhere along the way, someone probably told you to dial it back, stay in your lane, or make yourself smaller. But here's the truth. Being too much isn't the problem. Shrinking yourself is. And the reason we want to do this topic is we just had an incredible mastermind session for 90 minutes with a friend and mentor. And we kind of ended our session with that about really shrinking and being small, because we didn't want to be the loud one. I've often been told, I'm not the loudest one in the room, but ... And I always take that as, okay, so they're calling me loud. But it's okay, because we want to unpack why you should stop caring if people think you're too much, and how to reframe it as your superpower. I know it's one of my superpowers. I know it's one of Amy's as well. And and how to step boldly into your fullest, brightest self. And of course, we want to share our stories, because I know that is a huge thing that Amy and I do so well, is we love to tell stories. And there's no better way than to start with the master storyteller herself, which is our mom. And we're going to just kind of share a little bit about just a fun thing that we did with my mom. And it was definitely about, have you ever been told you're too much? And I'm going to let Amy just tell the story, because it's pretty fun.
Oh, yes. Well, we were able to celebrate my mom's 80th birthday, and we really had a week-long celebration. We had a week-long celebration with her, and it started out last week with a really last-minute photo shoot. If you're friends with us on Facebook, on social media, on our businesses, you saw that we were able to, Molly and I and our daughters and my mom were all able to clear our schedules, and a phenomenal photographer, by the way, were able to clear their schedules and take a photo, a really powerful photo. And it was a photo I saw in my mind. I saw it, right? That's where everything starts, is in your imagination.
Yeah, in your imagination. It's like that's like your superpower, truly.
Yes. So I saw this. I knew, in fact, I brought all the clothes for everybody. I knew I wanted to increase all the clothes so much that I got stuck with the worst dress. I joke about it.
She did not get stuck with the worst dress. It looks just as pretty covered up as it does showing. And so she's just mad that she didn't get to show her legs off, but that's a whole nother story. So
we'll save that for another episode. But at any rate, I did bring everything that, again, is, I love fashion. So I brought these lovely clothes. And then I just shared my vision with the photographer, and I've worked with her for so long that she knew exactly what I was thinking. And so she ended up finding this fabulous robe. I knew that I wanted my mother's scars. She's had a double mastectomy. She's a 2-time cancer survivor. Her mother passed away from breast cancer when my mom was 3. So she's been raised on her own. We call it delusional confidence. And we'll get to that on another episode. But anyway, I knew I wanted this impactful photo. I wanted my mom to kind of have part of her scars showing, but then also have our hands. So have my sister's hand, my mom's hand, my daughter's hand, Molly's daughter, Sophie's hand. So all of us to have our hands kind of at various places around the scars. of my mom and just embracing my mom, because this was the woman who has we, like we say, we get our delusional confidence from. But I know she's been told that she's too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was
Oh,
the
yeah.
drama.
And by her own daughters too. I mean, like not just by the world, but like by the rest of her family as well. Like you sing too loud in church and too loud at a funeral, and you should tone your voice down a little bit. And you have the loudest laugh, things like that. Things that you've probably been told too, right? Like all of our listeners, have you been told that anytime that you're just too much?
Too much, too smart, too motivated. You work out too much. You just anything that you're too much on, right? And
Mhm.
I just, as the photographer got the photo done for us right quickly, because it was done very last minute. And when she sent it over to us, it was absolutely breathtaking. It was absolutely breathtaking. I think
And
Molly and I.
and honestly, I know I'm just going to cut in here. During that time that we were doing the photo, it was honestly, it was such a I wanted time to stand still because I knew as our hands were there. Number one, I had never laid my hands on my mom's scars through all of this, and the first diagnosis at age 60 was just a lumpectomy. I shouldn't say just. It was a lumpectomy. At age 71, it was a bilateral mastectomy. And so I'd never put my hands there. And 9 years later, here I am with my hands on there. And it just felt like lightning under my hands. And I wanted time to stand still because I knew right then and there what we were doing was, they say you can store up to 13 generations of trauma in your body. And I've even read as few as 3 decades, but I'm like, I'm choosing 13 generations. But I felt all of that as we stood there with just that one hand. I just thought, time stands still. This moment is probably one of the most magical moments outside of giving birth or marrying my husband that I've ever had the opportunity to be a part of. And it was just truly, it was transformational. To say that word, it truly was.
Yes. And I'll tell you again, and for our daughters too, our 26 and 23-year-old daughters,
Mhm.
because what we are doing in this work is we have broken the generational, like Molly said, the generational curses. And it was just so powerful. And so when we got the pictures back, I was like, holy cow, thank you, God. Like this is impactful. We always start our podcast like we want to create impact, right? We want to leave people better than we found them. And we knew this photo was going to do that. Like it's so emotional. Please go take a look at it. But as we were getting ready to share it with the world, this beautiful photo, Molly and I went back and forth on, is this too much? Is this photo too much? Is it going to offend someone? Because it was a slight, one side of her scar, that there's no breast there. Now, if the breast would have been there, it would have been censored, right? But there's just this lovely, lovely scar that is a story. Like, again, we all have our scars. Some of them are inside, some of them are inward scars. We all have, the inward scars, but this is this gorgeous, and I've never looked at it, this gorgeous outward scar
Mhm.
for our mother. And it was just the most beautiful picture. But before we posted it, we went back and forth. Is this too much? Even today, I posted it on LinkedIn for our women's collective. And I asked my daughter, who's on LinkedIn a little bit more, she's 26, is this too much for mom to post, And how often, just one example, are we shrinking back? Are we thinking we're too much?
And I think that is, explaining too much again from whose perspective. And I think Amy and I have done the work long enough to know, like, reframing the situation is really the next step. When you think you're too much, is reframe it. Too much for who? I mean, honestly, says who? I remember thinking the other day I wanted to wear a hat to church. And I thought, oh, that's too much. That is too much. You don't wear, and I mean a ball cap, not like a fancy, Kentucky Derby hat, but a ball cap, just I wanted to wear it. And I thought, ooh, that's just too much. I just don't think church is ready to see a hat. And I had to reframe it and say, says who? Says who? There's no church rule. There was no, I didn't sign off on anything when I started attending church there that says you may not wear a baseball cap, but so often we feel someone else's projection, and you just have to go back and remind yourself, like, says who. And I know that we hear this all the time, but bold women throughout history that were considered too much. I remember Amy and I being at my aunt's in Chicago as young girls. My mom drove this Pontiac Bonneville. We drove a Pontiac Bonneville.
Very independent mother, right? Packs us in and says, come on, we're going to Chicago. And
Yes.
Molly was 15 and we had her drive on the interstate. I don't think she, with our lap belts, for Pete's sakes, we didn't have full seat
in
belts.
a downpour, a torrential downpour, like in between three semi trucks. Like, I will say my mom lived boldly, right? Definitely too much. Back then, people, did not leave the state to go back to school shopping and go to Chicago, much less drive there. So here we are driving the Pontiac Bonneville to Chicago, to Oak Park. We get to my aunt's. And I remember, and this is back to women that are too much, here we are learning from the best of the best, right? Our mother. And my aunt Claire says to my mom, there's this woman that's really making a mark in talk shows. And I think we should go hear her. Her name is Oprah. And you guys, we were like, who? Come again? And you think about people when you reframe it. Am I too much? Think about Oprah. They wanted her to change her name. I mean, everything, like, that name is never going to work. And it's got to be something.
Talk show host is not ever going to work. A minority, whatever they said.
Yes. I mean, all the things. And you look at it and you know that she's had to reframe every single day of her life. Will we all love her life? Yes. But I'm like, if you truly probably knew, I bet she's doing a lot of this. And so your light isn't too bright. The room is just too small. Like, in the words of Oprah right there. So talk about a woman that is too much, too soon, too big, all the things. Like, you have to reframe the situation. And there is a cost of shrinking. There always is.
Shrinking. And as we know, this is what we're so passionate about. 95% of the women shrink back, right? We sit in the front row. We silence ourselves. We don't want to be too much. We don't want to draw too much attention to us. We're not perfect enough. Perfectionism sets in. And so what we really want you to know is, number one, you belong in any room you walk into. Any room you walk into. Baseball hat, cowboy hat, tennis shoes, whatever color your skin is, whatever, whomever you love, you belong in any room you walk into. And you should never, ever worry about what other people think. If you're worrying about what other people think, you're in the wrong room. You should walk in with such confidence. Like we say, our mom has given us delusional confidence, and that's one thing she has. My mom was just traveling to Europe with our sister-in-law. Easter Sunday, there was the cathedral, and I can't remember, wherever Princess Diana was
went to church,
packed. Our 80-year-old mother walked to the front row, maybe the second front row, got seats right up there. I mean, she walked right to the front. That's what you should do. Every one of you deserve to walk into that room and walk to the front row.
That's delusional confidence, right? And that is something that we want women to embrace, and men too, right? Men need this as well. But knowing that you walk right in, and it's not an arrogant way. There's not a bit of arrogance at all. It's just, I always say, it's not arrogance, it's elevation. It is an elevated feeling. And when you let go of how you're judging the situation, and I think for myself, this was the biggest shift I saw in my sister, is she quit judging people. And because she quit judging herself. And this happened years ago, after years and years. If you've been listening to us for a while and you feel like, yes, that is me. I've done a lot of personal growth and development. I've read a lot of books. I've been to a lot of big names, right? I've seen the great of the greats, John Maxwell, Jack Canfield, Les Brown. I've seen them all. But if it's that inner work, and that inner work comes with not judging yourself. When you don't judge yourself, you don't judge others. and you truly love everyone. So to be able to walk into that church in a foreign country and walk into the second row and then proceed to cry through the whole service. Mom said, I did not know that service was going to be that emotional. It was Palm Sunday, but she said, I just had no idea. I would literally just sit and weep. And that, again, that to me is confidence. That is something I want and Amy and I both have, is just that confidence to be who you are in that moment, right? You're not being too much to cry. The old me would have been like, oh my gosh, that is a little over the top. Do we need to cry that much? That's how Amy and I would have seen our mother. But because of the work we've done, that's why back to that picture is so profound for us, because it shows the healing that has gone on, the generational healing that has gone on. And the fact that not only did my mom give us a roadmap and this delusional confidence, but she did it without knowing it. We're so blessed that we got that roadmap. So many people don't get that, but that we've been able to give that to our daughters. And that's what this is all about as we go to speak on stages all over the world, is it's sharing about that delusional confidence, because we want people to stop shrinking themselves and thinking that they're just too much.
Authenticity, showing up as your authentic self. For me, I love fashion. I've always said that.
We were always late to church, always, because of her. She was always sewing a skirt. She is so gifted. She came out of the womb in heels, I promise you.
I love that. I could run a marathon in heels, I think, but that is who I am. I'm always the overdressed one. And, for years I was apologetic and I thought, oh, I'm too much. I'm going to dress the way I want to, but I'm going to sit in the back. Now I walk up to the front because I know I belong there. I love that I am, and I say this, I am madly in love with my imperfect self, madly in love. And that's what we help women discover. We help them make decisions to be madly in love with themselves, madly in love with their life, madly in love with their career, madly in love with the decisions that they make in all areas of their life. So as we wrap this up, if this episode spoke to you, please share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Leave us a review. Leave us a 5-star review. And remember, until next time, stay bold, stay limitless, be unapologetic, and know that you belong in any room that you walk into.
Thanks, everybody. We love you.
Hey guys, we'd love to have you join our waitlist for our class, A View from the Top. There are going to be incredible women who are making incredible, decisive, clear decisions. The energy is fabulous. The view from the top is fabulous. And there's room for you at the top. Go to sistersnextdoor.com and join our waitlist.